Days like today are pretty interesting since it does allow us to evaluate the strength of some of our earning failure plays. If you're going long a bunch of stocks and the market's just shooting up, it's hard to tell how much of that is due to you being a great stock picker, let's say, or vice versa. If you short something and the market's crashing, everything's going to crash, right? But if you're long and the market's dumping, well, maybe now you get a better input as to is there any relative strength into what you're holding. Today's one of those days where the market is going through a tiny bit of pain here. And as I bring you on my screen, let's just look at the SPCX here. So SPX is down about 50 basis points. Not a crazy red day, right? 50 basis points. Nasdaq, on the other hand, is down about 160 basis points. This is a bit more significant, but still, like, we're within the range of last week. It's nothing crazy per se, but it is a decent bit for the day, right? To be down 1.6%. On days like this is truly when we get a chance to look at our portfolio and see what's going on. There is a specific sector I want to focus on because I made a few videos on this sector now on my channel, which is that space sector, because I feel like there's some money rotation going into that sector. And the stock we're going to focus on in particular is going to be LUNR, which I did make a video on last week, August 13 here. I'll probably just link it up in the corner if you haven't watched it yet. But the thesis was pretty simple here, where it's like, hey, we've seen SPCX have an earnings failure and go up. We've had Rocket Labs do that. We've had ASTS do that. That's a lot of stocks within the space sector having an earnings failure. And then LUNR did that as well. LUNR had an earnings failure. I mean, a big one too, right? I mean, I'm only looking at the cash session over here, but we're talking about like cash to cash. I mean, it was down as much as 16%, right? Before it reversed higher. I mean, that's significant. We have a little bit of a failed earnings failure where it was a valid signal and didn't work out, and it's just Space, Virgin Galactic. This one also had it, actually. See that? Barely, and then it kind of, the trade pretty much got dead yesterday. But this is one of those meme stocks too, where it's like, out of all the space stocks, this is the last one you ever want to be involved in. But even this one had an earnings failure. Granted, it ended up failing the failing. But the point the reason I bring all this up is because, okay, so I have a thesis that, okay, I feel like there's a rotation that's going into these space stocks right now. They should be holding up better, right, on days like today. Obviously, if you're investing into space stocks, it's a very risk-on type of endeavor to be doing. It's no surprise that on days that Nasdaq, which is pretty much the risk-on index that we have here, is down 160 basis points, that the space stocks are also going to be struggling. But, even when we consider the difference in volatility, right? Obviously, the beta of SpaceX is way higher than of Nasdaq. They're not doing too bad today, right? So I have 3 space stocks here on the left side. I have SpaceX chilling at $140. And we're getting hammered of all these lockups that are coming left and right, all these employees, the lunch lady, all of them have shares to sell right now. It's chilling at 140. A week and a half ago, it was at 105. Keep that in mind. Before the lockup, it was at 105. Now it's chilling at 141 for the day. Rocket Labs, you know what? As an earnings failure, it hasn't really paid off just yet, right? Pretty much the earnings failure occurred. This is actually the signal. So, gun to head today, I mean, we close around under $80. I've got to seriously consider maybe dropping out of this position here, because as you can see here, it's chilling under $80. I mean, the official closing here is $80.04. We did trade above that slightly at the open here before getting rejected lower. But I mean, still, it's actually kind of it's consolidating here on a day that Nasdaq again is getting pummeled. Then we have LUNR, right? That's that short squeeze stock that we made a video about. This one, honestly speaking, I expect to get pummeled the most. It's the smallest out of the bunch. It's got the highest short interest out of the bunch. You know, it's not a great looking chart. Sorry, I keep getting a hair in my face there. You know, doesn't look amazing, right? If we look at the short interest here for LUNR, 35%. Never a big fan of going long stocks that have a short interest of 35% because, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, there's smoke, there's fire. There's a reason why it's so heavily shorted. Normally a reason why. And I can play the short squeezes and I love to do that, but I have to also know that, hey, you run the risk of, it's like a hot game of hot potato, right? The gains come in quickly and they leave just as quickly too. If you ever want to see an example of that, I mean, just bring up Upstart. That company has been going through like 5 years of like short squeezes, you know. Looks a bit more impressive once you kind of zoom in here, but you know, it has these little squeezes and look at these collapses, you know, and then it goes dead for some time. And then from 20 to 50, you know, in a month's time, and then again, all the way down, right? Look at this move here. This is actually an earnings failure. I actually do remember playing this one in particular. It took 2 days, but you see how the earnings failure worked out. This is an example of an earnings failure off a short squeeze, by the way, because it comes off here, right? So it looks super strong, but then just as quickly gives it all back, right? Again, all the shorts obviously getting squeezed out. They're being biased in the market, but at some point, once you get all those early, mid shorts pushed out of the stock, new ones come in, and it gets pushed right back lower again. What about this one here? This is actually a gap up off of earnings, but same thing. Left a little squeeze here, pulled back. I mean, look at this chart. Look at this here. I mean, this company is just going up and down, right? Reminds me a little bit of how LUNR's chart kind of looks at here, right? Doesn't it? But it's not too bad today. You know, Nasdaq right now, I mean, look at it. It's kind of trending lower the whole day. And LUNR is not, right? It's mostly sideways for the most part. So when I see action like this on my earning failure plays, depending how things close today, I would prefer the markets not to keep pressing lower. Let's say maybe there's a slight rebound, markets kind of chill off. But if I could see LUNR kind of, go back to the highs of the day, go over $20, that's where I would actually consider increasing my position. Because showing strength on days like this, it gives me more confidence in this earning failure to continue going on, to continue working out. Almost for all these space stocks, honestly. That's why I kind of want the market to kind of chill off because, they are still pushing lower. Well, I can see here, finally ES is kind of getting off its lowest, but it was on the lowest just 10 minutes ago. So I would like to see the markets just relax a little bit and then see stock like LUNR rotate back upwards. That's when I'll pretty much press on that bet, only because I'm getting feedback that, hey, there is strength in the stock. So I'll say in general, if you're still on the sidelines for space stocks, I would use today's low as a possible barometer for like what you use as a stop. If they continue showing strength into the end of day, depending what the markets do here. I mean, even SPCX is now back at 142, so it's climbing out of this, right? Depending how today goes, right? So even for SPCX, let's imagine SPCX finishes at 146 today or something, right? I would do something like, listen, if SPCX closes back on the 140 in the future, I'm stopped out of this trade. This is if you're not in SPCX just yet. Let's say end of day, you come in, you buy at 146. You mark 140 as that stop, because you've seen some pressure, Nasdaq down 150 basis points. SPCX is still in the midst of its own earnings failure, right? We got into this trade when it had an earnings failure here, right? That's when it officially became an earnings failure. It's hanging out at 140, even if all the lockup's happening right now, even with the pressure from the overall market today. It's bouncing back right now, which is obviously helping SPCX get a lift here. But if I'm on the sidelines, that's what I would be looking at. Same thing for LUNR here. LUNR made its low at the open. It's hanging out right now, a little bit of underperformance in the last, say, 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it might be. But if it pushes over $20, okay, make that stop here at somewhere at $19 or so. That's what I would be doing. I mean, for Luna in particular, I might even add to that position, just using today as a possible stop, only because, again, we are seeing that strength happening within the space stocks. And that's pretty much the video. I just wanted to kind of show you my thoughts today as I kind of sit here. There's really no other earnings failure trades to be putting on right now, no earning news trades to be putting on. So I just figured, as I stare at these charts, give you guys a little bit of my input of what's going through my head as I kind of look and see how these stocks are trading that are in my portfolio. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like, subscribe for more content such as this one, comment for any questions. Other than that, thank you for watching.